Former U.S. President Bill Clinton expressed regret for his role in pressuring Ukraine to accept a nuclear disarmament agreement during his presidency in 1994. Bill Clinton spoke to the Irish news service RTE on Tuesday. Clinton said she felt a personal stake in the fate of Ukraine while struggling to fend off a Russian invasion under Vladimir Putin. According to him, Russia would not have invaded Ukraine in 2014 and in 2022 if Kyiv was still armed with nuclear weapons. "I feel at stake personally because I got them, Ukraine, to agree to give up their nuclear weapons," Clinton said. And none of them believed that the Russians would carry out this action if the Ukrainians still had their weapons. Bill Clinton was the U.S. president who took office during high-stakes negotiations in 1994. The aim of the agreement was to remove the nuclear weapons stationed in Ukraine after the fall of the Soviet Union. The meeting resulted in the trilateral statement, which partly traded Ukraine's nuclear weapons for security guarantees. Ukraine finally agreed to disarmament in the Budapest Memorandum later that year. Under the agreement, Russia must also respect Ukraine's borders and Ukraine's right to govern itself. According to Clinton, she now feels short-sighted, as Russia apparently violated the deal in 2014 by seizing Crimea and again in its most recent invasion in 2022. "I know that President Putin does not support the agreement made by President Yeltsin never to interfere with Ukraine's borders. He made the deal because he wanted Ukraine to give up its nuclear weapons," Clinton said. "The Ukrainians are afraid to give it up because they think it's the only thing protecting them from expansionist Russia." In February 2022, Ukrainian lawmaker Oleksiy Goncharenko told Fox News that the guarantees Ukraine had given in 1994 on the surrender of its nuclear weapons were not being kept by the rest of the world. "Where is this guarantee? Now we are being bombed and killed," he said. However, there are also those who think that Ukraine still cannot avoid the Russian invasion even though it maintains its nuclear weapons. Clara Guest, a research assistant in proliferation finance at King's College London, wrote in March 2022 that Ukraine would not be able to maintain the weapons or manufacture new ones. "Ukraine will never be able to maintain its nuclear weapons and facilities or produce new components," he wrote, citing Ukraine's lack of funds for such efforts. Chronology of the bombing that killed Vladlen Tatarsky. Suspect claims to be trapped. The terrorist perpetrator who killed a Russian blogger has been placed in pre-trial detention. Daria Trapova is the prime suspect in the bombing that hit prominent Russian military blogger Vladlen Tatarsky. Tatarsky died after the statue containing the bomb he received from Daria exploded. Trapova has now been placed in pre-trial detention. The decision was announced by a Moscow court on Tuesday, shortly after Trapova was charged with terrorism by Russia's investigative committee. The trial took place behind closed doors at the request of investigators, with the court upholding the motion despite opposition from Trapova and her legal team. The suspect will remain in pre-trial detention for 2 months, which can be extended further if needed. Earlier in the day, Trapova was charged with committing an act of terrorism while operating as part of an organized group, as well as illegal trade in explosives. Violations can result in up to 20 years in prison if he is found guilty. According to the investigative committee, Trapova is the main suspect in the murder of Tatarsky, real name Maxim Fomin. He is believed to have brought an effigy filled with explosives to an event at a cafe in central St. Petersburg, hosted by Tatarsky, on Sunday. He gave the blogger the statue, which exploded shortly after, killing him on the spot and injuring more than 30 others. The suspect had followed the instructions of the person acting from the territory of Ukraine, the investigative committee said. The main suspect in the murder of prominent Russian military blogger Vladlen Tatarsky, Daria Trapova, has admitted details of her involvement in the bomb attack, according to news outlet Fontanka. Tatarsky was killed in an explosion Sunday at a cafe in St. Petersburg, after Trapova handed over a bust filled with an improvised explosive device, IED. The bombing, which also injured 40 people, has been classified as a terrorist attack. According to Fontanka, Trapova claimed to investigators that she had befriended an online activist and was offered a chance for an editorial position in Kyiv on an unnamed media channel. However, before he could be hired, he was told he would have to undergo an apprenticeship to prove he knows how to deal with Russian propaganda. His first assignment was to go to the Listova bookstore in St. Petersburg, and formed a friendship with Tatarsky, who held events there. After that, he was reportedly told via telegram that he had to go to Moscow. A taxi driver in the capital, most likely unaware of what he was doing, then presented Trepova with a package containing a gold statue. After receiving the package, Trepova was ordered to return to St. Petersburg to meet Tatarsky at the First Street Bar Cafe, where he is hosting another event for his followers. He was allegedly told to give the bust to Tatarsky as a gift, and come up with something about the heroes of PMC Wagner, according to Fontanka. In that case, we will act, Trepova was reportedly told by her handlers, who said they had booked a flight for her to Uzbekistan, from where she would be airlifted to Kyiv. Trepova reported her every move to her contacts, sending messages such as, "I'm about to arrive at the cafe, I'll give the statue to Tatarsky," and "I've handed it over." The suspect reportedly insisted he had no idea the statue contained a bomb, and has repeatedly claimed he was framed. Fontanka claims the argument seems plausible because Trepova did not leave the building after handing over the statue, and did not hesitate to sit next to her when Tatarsky invited her to join him on stage shortly before it exploded. Fontanka reports that experts are now checking the explosion site to confirm that the bomb was activated via a SIM card, which would make it possible to detonate it from anywhere in the world.